Food Finders began with Arlene Mercer in 1989 from her garage in Seal Beach. The intention was to end food waste while simultaneously feeding those in need.
Well, in April of '89, what was on my mind was that I wanted to feed those hungry people I saw on the streets, and there was too much food being wasted. I wanted to combine the two. So that could be the solution if we could transport the food to where it's needed. First thing I did, of course, is try to get a donor, and got up my courage and picked up my phone. The soup plantation had just opened near me. So I called the soup plantation and asked for the manager, and I had a very pleasant surprise because it was a very nice young woman, and she had been raised not to waste food. So it was perfect. She was so interested in what I had to say and asked, well, what would you do with my food at the end of the day? And I told her, and she said, well, you know, I live in Long Beach. I could just take that food in my van on my way home and drop it off for Long Beach Rescue Mission. And so by the end of the first year, we had 6 volunteers. We were taking food to a pilot program we had established in Long Beach, and that included 3 agencies: Long Beach Rescue Mission and for Catholic Charities Family Shelter, also the Christian Outreach in Action.
The nonprofit now serves more than 220 agencies and shelters with food from more than 350 donors.
We received a Crystal Vision Award, the big award that year, from Boeing, which was enough money for us to have rent for a whole year somewhere. And what kind of legacy are we leaving? We've provided 110 million pounds of food, and we've given volunteers and donors an opportunity to serve and be a part of this and have the joy of helping others. We gave some people new lives because they recognized that we were working hard to help them and to feed them, and so they began to believe in themselves a little bit because someone cared.
Many of the people receiving food are families, especially children. 1 in 4 children in California suffer from hunger and food insecurity.
We try to be ambassadors in the community. So when I stand in line at the grocery store and somebody says something about food, it's always an opportunity to bring up Food Finders and grab this little pin out of my purse and say, do you know what we do? There's a million ways to get involved. And all of these people make a difference. I'm glad to be a part of this. I am thrilled at the volunteers. Without them, we wouldn't have the organization that we have. So I'm glad to be part of that.
Along with its board of directors, Food Finders staff work with more than 150 volunteers on a regular basis to ensure they are meeting the mission of rescuing food and ending hunger.
When you really believe in an organization, you want to do what you can do to support it. And as nonprofits, nobody's rolling in money when you're running a nonprofit. And if I can do something that will help support an organization that's feeding food insecure people, you know, it's a great satisfaction. You know, to take a couple of hours out of your week, I think you would find a great deal of satisfaction in knowing that you are helping food insecure people to find the food they need to maintain good health.
Trader Joe's in Bixby Knolls has been extraordinary. They're giving me probably up to 8 shopping carts full of food every Wednesday. I mean, this is an enormous amount of food. And when you see those numbers of 100 million pounds over the course of 25 years, you can understand when there's companies like Trader Joe's. The recipient agency, as time goes by and they can expect the food to be there on a certain day, they set up a whole situation there. I mean, like I arrive, the table's all set up, they have 4 or 5 volunteers, they take the food, they break it down, they divide it up as to the bread with the bread and dairy with the dairy, and they have this whole situation set up for within 15-20 minutes after I bring the food, and then the seniors file on through and line up and file through and get the free food. Thank you for doing what you're doing. This is important, so thanks a lot.
Some volunteers have been working with Food Finders since it started, like Willie Johnson.
Well, after I retired from a regular job in the city of Long Beach, one of my fellow co-workers wanted to know what I was going to do. So I told him I didn't have any special plans, so he wanted to know if I wanted to do some volunteer work. So he introduced me to Food Finders, and that was something that I started, I really liked doing. So helping people, and it's something that I enjoy. So I pick up 5 days a week, and it's usually a different spot each day. The ones in Food Finders are the greatest, people associated with that, and the other people that donate stuff, they're really great too. As long as I'm able and as long as I feel good, I plan on continuing.
Some of the donors to Food Finders are local schools that donate unserved cafeteria food from lunchtime.
Well, 2010 is when I really noticed one day in the cafeteria that when the recreation aides were taking the milk and trays away from the kids after they'd eaten, they were opening up even the unopened milk cartons and dumping the milk out and then tossing the milk cartons in the trash. And so I sort of thought, that bothers me, but I also feel like that's not something we should be doing in front of our kids. And then one day I was on the internet looking for information about recycling and other green programs at schools, because that was something else I was interested in, recycling. And I came across the Good Samaritan Law, the California Good Samaritan Law. And I took it right into the principal and said, this says we should be able to donate. And he said, it looks like it does. So in 2010, we started with some parent volunteers, bringing our cooler of food and milk once a day. And it's grown into a program where we easily have at least a couple of full coolers of food now per day, and we work still with Food Finders through the Salvation Army.
Food Finders has since added more than 9 schools to its food program.
You know, something I say a lot nowadays is it's the unity in community that gets the job done, and that's definitely true.